Good morning, everybody. We are back. And if you can believe it, thank God this year's almost over. Holy moly. Well, we want to welcome you guys to the show. Yep. We are here again, yet again, and ready to tackle on all the challenges of the year. My name is Brenda Neckbottle. I am known as the HR Force of Nature. And to my
No, you had it right first.
There we go. This way is Suzanne Lucas, who's also known as the evil HR lady. And we're going to flash up how you can find us on social media. And welcome. Good morning, dear. How are you?
Well, I am mostly splendid and a little bit stupid, but other than that, I'm good.
Aw, how's Switzerland today?
Switzerland is cold and gray, but that's expected because it's December. And it gets light so late and dark so early.
Yeah, well, we got that here too over in Virginia. So, but spring goes around the corner.
You're so optimistic.
I am. Yeah, there's always another season.
Spring is around the corner for you because Virginia is a heck of a lot warmer than Switzerland.
Well, yeah, it is. And it's funny is that we were up in Pennsylvania this past weekend. We were up in Maryland and Pennsylvania, up in the upper Maryland, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. We hit several states. And we're walking around some bluffs up in Pennsylvania, and it's 35 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour winds. And I look at my friends that I'm with, and I'm like, and this is the reason why I moved away from Pennsylvania. And they're like, got it. And about 2.5 hours later, we're doing a picnic car top. Gosh, the hood. I want to call it a hood picnic on the top of our car over in front of tropical smoothie, and it's like 55, and we're wearing like jackets, and it's just like 2.5 hours is amazing difference in temperature. And then we get back down into the Virginia Beach area, and it's just tickling 60 degrees and raining, and I'm like, thank goodness I'm back.
Stuff it with your branding.
So, I know, right? I know, life choices. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. Look, we're coming down to the back end of the year. Life is constantly getting challenging. We get it. And, everybody's patience are kind of done. We're all kind of done with the current state of environment. So we decided to kind of shift things up just a little bit today. So instead of providing you a well thought out topic in advance, what we're going to do is we're going to move our Q&A to the front of this morning's episode, and we're going to make our episode about our Q&A. And usually we surprise each other, but we kind of started thinking, it's like, well, what do we, this time of the year, all sorts of stuff. So we put a little bit of a Christmas spin on it. And today we're going to talk about when an employee is both naughty and nice.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. There you go.
That's right. So, all right. So I went first last week. Do you want to go first this week?
Sure.
All right. So my question to you is, what should companies do relating to alcohol and employee events, bearing in mind that some companies may, in lieu of taking their employees out because they can't, want to send employees alcohol?
Do you have ghosts?
No, I have a dog that's hitting the cord of the lamp. What is? We'll just roll with this. So that's the question for you today.
All right. So here are my biases, just so you know. I don't drink at all, ever. It's against my religion. I don't do it. It doesn't bother me when other people drink, but I don't do it. And because I don't, it does bother me when people assume that everybody is a drinker. And there's been lots of situations where there are no non-alcohol products available, and people are just like boggled. And I'm like, I swear I'm not the only person on the planet that doesn't drink. So that's just, I want to give my background because people sometimes are like, you're crazy pants, because I don't drink, but I don't drink. So I am also very cautious, and I don't like putting companies at liability. And so my advice has always been with alcohol at company provided events that it needs to be limited, and that we can't really trust employees to control themselves. Because frankly, I've been to your weddings, and sometimes when there's an open bar, people who are normally respectable people go completely off the ledge with their alcohol consumption. And I don't know, as I said, I don't drink. I don't know what it is about. Like suddenly you just like lose all sense of reality and are like, I'm gonna have that 14th, whatever. I don't know. So if you're having a get together, I'm okay with alcohol being provided, but I want it in a limited fashion, in some way that people can't drink till they're completely plastered.
Bombed.
And I also live in Switzerland right now, which has tremendous public transportation. And so no one ever worries about people getting drunk and driving at a work activity because they can just all take the tram home. There's just, the public transportation here is just tremendous. Most of the United States does not have that option. And so when you are offering alcohol, if you're not severely limiting it, and by severely limiting it, I mean like one drink per person, and making sure that there's food with it, and that there's enough time, then you've got to worry about people driving home drunk. So I'm just super cautious on that. So you need to make sure that there are arrangements for people to get home safely, because you don't want that liability on your head if Bob comes to your holiday party, gets drunk, and drives himself home and crashes and kills himself or others. You don't want that liability. So I'm just saying, if you're having a holiday party, which most people are not this year, just be cautious, limit alcohol consumption, and make sure that there is Uber in the area, or let people know. I don't think you have to like give people a breathalyzer before they leave, but you want to be cautious and aware. As far as sending alcohol to employees, I don't have much of a problem with that, because people give alcohol gifts all of the time to their employees. I don't see a huge difference between a manager handing the employee a bottle of wine and saying happy holidays, and shipping a bottle of wine in a box. But I will say, from an etiquette standpoint, please find out whether the person drinks or not before you do. Because like I said, for me, I don't drink for religious reasons. And if you send me a bottle of wine, which I've gotten many in my days, I'll just say, thank you so much. And then I'll give it to a friend. And that's just what I do. But if I'm an alcoholic, or married to an alcoholic, or, maybe my religion is so against alcohol that I can't have it in my house at all, that I find it offensive, then that becomes a rude present. But it's a rude present to send something to someone that you don't have any idea if they'll use or not. And so think about, alcohol is not the only possible present, and so many people think it is.
It isn't, and I think it's been commonly translated as kind of like a universal acceptance of something, right?
All right, here's my
Trading
whole
alcohol.
gift. Here's a bottle
Treat.
of wine.
Yeah, it's a treat. One of the best gifts that I ever got, to be honest with you, was absolutely, it wasn't an alcohol, it was a Sherpa blanket. It's awesome. It's the best. It was the best corporate present I ever had. There goes the lamp. And I still have it to this day. I've actually gotten two now. And they were just absolutely awesome. But my only comment to think through on yes, I think it's important that you do ask or find out who drinks and who doesn't drink. But you got to be careful about how you ask that question too, because people could reveal that they don't drink like you because of their religion. Well, now you really got to be careful, because you're kind of opening yourself up to knowing more information than you're entitled to as an employer. And if you start regarding people, then you're kind of inflicting stuff on you. Does that make sense?
Sure. And that is always an issue. I'm a little bit less cautious in that area once someone is employed. But I mean, maybe a good way to do it is to send out an email to your staff and say, for the holidays this year, I'm either going to give you a bottle of wine or a box of chocolates.
Give them an option.
Prefer. And a lot of times, just from working with people, you've seen them drink or whatever. One year I was very pregnant, and and so I'm very pregnant, and I don't drink as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he wasn't my boss. He was like another senior person. Anyway, he gave me and my job share partner both a very nice bottle of champagne. And I just said, thank you. And my job share partner went to him and said, you just gave wine to a pregnant Mormon. And he was like so embarrassed. And I felt bad because he was just the sweetest guy. Oh my gosh, he was so nice. And he just meant to be nice. I mean, that's the thing is I wasn't at all upset. I thought it was funny because I was super pregnant, It's like, did you just think I was fat? What?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Poor guy. But again, that just comes to I mean, give your employees an option if you've got conferences, because I do think about the religious aspect of it, because the question is, once you start going down that road, the question is, where do you draw the line? And so I think it's just, I think the option is better. And I mean, it's like, not everybody gets a corporate present from their company. So the fact that they're getting something, if they want to poo-poo it, that's on them. But at the same time, because you are going to have employees and go, this is the dumbest thing I've ever gotten in my entire career. But you know what? That's their problem, not yours. Your problem is just making sure that everybody is safe and sound and all good. So that's what you want to focus in on.
And I think that really safe and sound thing. And I also think you want to make people feel appreciated. I do think there's a difference between the corporate sending out something to everybody, in which case alcohol I don't think is ever appropriate, because there's no way that the CEO, I mean, unless there's like 10 people in the company, which there are plenty of things like that. But, if you are a company of any size, there's no way they know people's individual. And just because alcohol can be a really touchy subject for some people. But from a direct manager, I think it's a lot more allowable. I would never have the company, unless you work for like a winery, send out alcohol to everybody. I think a Sherpa blanket sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it is. And not to mention, I get really upset when somebody gives me Jim Beam because I'm a Jack Daniels drinker. So
the horrors.
I know. First world problems, right?
That's right. I'll take just about any kind of chocolate in case someone wants to. Except for those Whitmer sample boxes that they only have around Valentine's Day. Those are terrible. So don't buy those, but C's is really good.
I like the chocolates with the liquor in it.
Oh gosh.
Those are awesome.
Not a fan for obvious reasons. Yeah. So just it's just that word of caution to be to think to make it a present. That's the thing, is to make it a present. And I do think that most managers know or should know that type of thing if they're paying attention to their employees. I mean, if you never socialize together, then you don't know. But yeah. Anyway, it's always fine to ask, to say, I like the idea of saying, hey, I'm buying everybody a present. Would you like wine or chocolates?
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, just make it
Or
give them an option. Yeah, that's probably your best, safest route, is that if you want to give wine or you want to give something that's alcohol related, then give them an option. Okay, so moving on. You want to do your question to me?
I do. Let me pull it up. Okay, I stole this from LinkedIn. I came across this yesterday.
You never have to reveal where we get these things.
I mean, I thought this all on my own. No, I do want to reveal because I'm going to read the whole question, and I don't want to take credit for the question. I am not going to name the person who did it because I have really strong feelings on this, but I'm going to let Brenda answer it.
Great. Wonderful. Fabulous.
All right. Here's the question. What should an employer do if they discover an employee engaged in potentially unsafe conduct over the holiday? Here are the facts. You have an excellent employee who needs to take time off for a surgery. You approve the time off and issue FMLA paperwork. He follows protocol and is approved for 12 weeks of leave and is paid under the salary continuation policy. After the surgery, he submits a request to return to work early. You deny it because he has not produced a doctor's note stating that he can return to work. He doesn't produce a note and decides to go on his annual vacation while still on leave. You find out he is on vacation when he should be resting, and you investigate. There's a video on social media that clearly shows him lifting a heavy suitcase from the car, which is a violation of the doctor's orders you received. And then he said, what do you do? Terminate the employee? Nothing, it's personal time, or other.
All right, so there's a lot of combined here. So there's a couple of different things involved. So let's take a step back. So we've got a process in place that is designed to do two things. Number one, it provides compliance with FMLA, which means that the company, and I'm about ready to sneeze, recognizes that an employee needs to go out for a legitimate purpose as defined under FMLA, and there is job protection involved. Okay. So you have that. Then you have an employee who's not following that process and wants to come back early. Now, I'm going to assume that the employee has not yet is still on leave. Yeah, the employee is still on leave while they're out on vacation, correct?
Yes. So it's still within that 12 weeks.
Yeah, but I guess my question is so long as the employee is still out on protected leave, they want to come back early and they haven't produced the documentation for it. So you've got an employee who's legitimately still out based off of whatever the paperwork is saying. So let's say, for example, we have to take some assumptions here that the employee has put the doctor has taken the employee out for the full 12 weeks, but the employee wants to come back early.
Right.
Just because an employee wants to come back early doesn't necessarily mean that the physician is authorizing it. Now,
right.
I'm just talking solely on the process, okay?
Yes.
So processes like this are in place to protect the company and to protect to make sure that you're being compliant. So let the process do what the process is designed to do. And that is protect the company by not, bringing an employee back to work before they are physically capable or physically ready. You're not paying them for anything under FMLA, right? So there's no monetary there's no money going out to an employee because it's just job protection. It's not job protection plus pay. So I'm going to start right there. Okay. So now what an employee does on their FMLA really is none of the business of the employer, because an employee can convalesce anywhere. There's nothing in FMLA that says that they can't, do their surgery over in Hawaii and spend 3 weeks in Hawaii where their family might be, for instance, where they can be taken care of, and convalesce over there. So if they go on vacation because they're physically capable of doing so, and then that's fine. It doesn't, it strokes our feathers backwards, but it is still okay. Now, let's get down to the point of where a video has surfaced of an employee who is supposed to be out on physical restriction and is now doing something either careless or reckless. Either in this case, they're lifting luggage that's likely above how much they're supposed to lift. We don't, as an employer, we don't own that injury. If it was a workers' compensation claim, then I would throw a different level of concern up. But under FMLA, we don't own that injury. And I wouldn't own that injury I would agree that the employee can't come back to work early. But if an employee is doing something careless and reckless outside of the employee's level of responsibility, I think probably more than anything else is that it's going to lower the opinion the employer has on the employee. And that in and of itself is a risk, but it doesn't do anything to the relationship. As far as, FMLA piece of it, if the employee winds up jacking up, whatever part of their body that they're not supposed to be jacking up while they're out on leave and convalescing, they have to answer for that to their own physician and to their own future. But if you have somebody out who's whooping up, and I've had this situation happen. It was believe it or not, it was a psychological case. We had an employee that was taken out of work by his physician for 3 weeks, and he took his family to vacation down in Disneyland, and they had the time of their life. And it was just like, there's nothing we're going to do about it because he's on leave and he has to answer to his physician about that kind of stuff. That's really none of our business. Does it lose trust with that individual? Yeah, absolutely it does. We didn't trust him to begin with, and then he pulls this stunt and we really don't trust him now. It doesn't make for a great relationship. But at the same time, we've had this conversation in other episodes where somebody goes to takes off for a doctor's appointment, and then an employee sees that same person or that coworker while they're out sick, or takes a sick day off, and we see them out and about having lunch somewhere else. And it's just kind of like, our logic dictates that if you're calling in sick, you should be at home in bed. But you know what? What if it was somebody who called out sick, didn't give you a reason, and they just needed a mental break, and they don't need to tell you that? So it is complicated. But if you look at it from an FMLA standpoint, so long as the steps of FMLA are being met, then that's fine. Now, let's take this one step further. What if that employee wound up doing something and wound up jacking their back up even more so? They came back and they said, "Oh, doc, man, I'm in pain. I can't, handle it," and blah, blah, blah. And the doc says, "Well, you're going to have to be out for another 3 months." Well, once they're past that FMLA time period and they remain out on doctor's leave, they can apply for long-term disability or short-term disability. Actually, short-term disability, and then long-term will kick in typically after 6 months. But now you don't have to worry about job protection. So if you see somebody that's done something to themselves, or they're running what I call running a gamut on you, and I've had that happen too, you can therefore separate.
You have to be careful with ADA because sometimes ADA can kick in. And
yes, you're right. It can. It can. It absolutely can. But, this is a situation. And we're not talking about anything definitive here. I'm talking about these are things that you can consider.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Those things
You
are,
can
and
consider it.
that person is shooting themselves in the foot if they continue, if they go against their doctor's orders. So,
Right. So, but they're still out on leave of absence. So we haven't opened the door to ADA, and that's a narrow window for companies to evaluate if they want to separate from the employee because of loss of confidence in this area, because they've uncovered that the employee is not being authentic, the employee is not being honest. There's an opportunity to do so, but I will be very clear about this. If you're going to examine that, don't examine it by yourself. You need to examine it with your employment attorney, because you are going to need a legal strategy for sure.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm really glad I asked you this question because it really ruffled my feathers, but you agree with me, so yay! Because a lot of the comments on LinkedIn were like, "That's a fireable offense," and I'm like,
No, it's not.
he didn't lie. That's the thing. It's not like he didn't have surgery. It's that his doctor didn't clear him for work and he did something stupid. And if we're going to judge everybody, I mean, and I myself, when I had my second baby, they always tell you don't drive. I don't remember, 2 weeks, I think was what she said. And I was driving within 3 or 4 days. The last thing I want is some neighbor busybody taking a video and sending it to my employer saying, Suzanne was driving. I don't think she needs to be on leave. I mean, baby aside that I'm entitled to bonding leave, but and there are people that are like that. And like you said, if you're gonna go up to the mountains and convalesce, if I've got a broken foot or I have had shoulder surgery or whatever, there's no reason why I need to stay in my apartment. I can go to the movies and I can go to Disney World. It's just between the FMLA fraud comes to me when someone says, I'm having surgery and they're not, or that they've forged the doctor's note.
Right.
Then that is, but if the surgery is legit and they're violating their doctor's orders,
Yeah.
that's on them.
Yeah. I had an employee that this is a long time ago. He fell once, hurt his ankle, and was out on workers' comp for 18 months. Within 3 months of his returning, he fell supposedly again and jacked up his wrist. And then he was out for 20 months. And every time, and bear in mind, I get all of the notes from the doctor's office and from the insurance company as to what's going on with this guy's claim. So every time I talk to him, oh, they don't know what's going on. And, we send him out for an IME, and we didn't even know that he had surgery on his wrist. So it was like we couldn't validate anything. So there was a lot of game playing going on. So basically, it was a lot of this, well, he's off work and he won't be able to work, and he keeps telling this story to HR about what's going on, but the medical notes say everything different. They know exactly what's going on. They know what has been operated on. They know, his recovery and blah. And he's like, no, I won't be able to come back to work because the doctor's leaving me off. And so basically, what we came to the suspicion is that he was, getting the doctor to continuously keep him off by saying, oh, this hurts and getting paid for no reason. So what we did is after 20 months, we separated. The company checked with the legal office and our legal team, and they separated from him. And that didn't mean that we didn't pay his claims, but it made it a very strict point that you just can't work for the company and keep getting hurt for the sake of getting paid at no reason. So we already own the injury for the rest of the guy's life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to constantly pay him for not working.
Yeah, and there are certainly times when people are dishonest, and there are times when being nice can turn around and bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
My very when I was so green in HR, I mean, I was working as an HR temp. and for a credit union, very small credit union. And the HR manager was fairly inexperienced herself, and she was, running HR alone. And I was her temp, so you can see that I literally I had no HR experience at this point. I had 3 months of HR experience at this point. And the HR manager before her, this woman had gone out on leave and had never come back, but she felt really sorry for her. So this woman had authorized to continue paying this employee's health insurance. And now it had been like 18 months later, and exactly. And my boss had to deal with this mess. I didn't have to deal with it, which was good because I would have got no idea what to do. But it just set the company up for all of these problems. And this woman, it had been 18 months later, and what it came up was the woman was like, "I'm ready to come back to work. Where's my job?" And we're like, sorry, you can apply. And she's like, "But, you're still paying my insurance. Aren't I still an employee?" And, I don't know how it resolved. I really don't.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, somebody tried to be nice instead of drawing clear lines, whereas this person should have been terminated and told, when you are better, you're welcome to reapply, but not
Yep.
we're going to hold your job indefinitely and continue to pay your health insurance, which is super nice, right? But it opens up a
Bad.
So, yeah.
So speaking of bad, we're going to transition over here and start winding this down. Suzanne and I are in the process of putting together a couple of things. We just want to make sure that you guys know that we're going to be sending out information. My session is already in place, and she's, coming up with one as well, so that we can get you guys what you need. So December 15th, if you guys go to, any of my social, or, reach out, DM me or whatever, we'll get you the link. Between the two of us, we are both doing and putting our own spin on what we feel is required for mandating vaccines, or how do companies deal with mandating vaccines in the workplace, because we do have the COVID vaccine that is being released. It is expected actually on the 15th of December to start filtering out, but nobody really knows what's going to happen with that. And it's a limited number of people it's going to hit. So my web session is actually going to be on December 15th, and it is through an organization called trainhr.com. And Suzanne, I'll let you share when yours is available too, but we only have one more week doing the show. So we want to make sure that you guys know that what we're able to help provide.
Yeah. So for mine, I have 2 scheduled. One specifically for HR people in education, and that will be on January 13th, and then one for just HR people in general, and that will be on January 18th, and that will be through HR Web Advisor. So yeah, hopefully we'll have an approved vaccine before Brenda's runs. That would be ideal. The UK is approved. But we're going to give you the best possible information, because whether the vaccine is approved yet or not, by the time these webinars come around, the approval is coming. I don't think they're going to reject it. Like I said, the UK has approved it. Other countries are online to approve it. And so you need to start making your plans now. So Brenda's on the 15th of January. I'm on the
15th of December. 15th of December.
January. Yes. So
yeah. You're in January. I'm in December.
Right. I'm in January. So I have more time. But then again, that makes it worse because I can't. This isn't a webinar I could write in advance.
And the other thing that we want to share, Suzanne's getting her copy here soon, is the best HR planner on the planet is available, and it is available at BrendaTheHRLady.com. It is 60 pages. Look at that. Woo! Of a ton of information, including a list of laws that you need to follow per your company size, some information on what HR generalists and HR managers do. There's 12 actual months of planners, a 12-month overview planner of deadlines, compliance deadlines, and then a year-end checklist that you can follow as well. So it's a very reasonably priced item. You guys can go ahead and jump on and grab it over at brendathehrlady.com. Just click on shop and you'll see the HR planner pop up. And so, yeah, good stuff there. So
yeah, there's lots of good material. And if you have any interesting topics you want us to discuss, ping us. We're easy to reach.
Yeah, we want to hear what you guys have to say. So we are going to go ahead and close this because we both have to run to meetings, but it's been great spending time with you guys again. We're looking forward to the new year. And before we absolutely leave you, let's share with them our groups.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First?
I'm going to share Brenda's group. She runs the Next Gen Women in HR, and this is a private group, which I think is really important for some of those times when you want to ask questions that you don't want to have your employees or your boss accidentally stumble across it. It's important, man. And Brenda screens to make sure that it's not your boss sneaking in, unless your boss is also an HR person, in which case, well, there you go.
Can't help you there. If they're in HR, they're coming in.
But it's a really lovely group where people can ask questions, and Brenda runs webinars and like lunch and learn type things. But because everybody's all over the country, sometimes it's lunching while other people are breakfasting.
And it becomes brunch.
Brunch and learn. That's
brunch and learn. I like that. I think that might be my next one.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. And so over at the Evil HR Lady, it is an open group, and Suzanne's awesome at which she, look, there's no nonsense over in that group, and they have the best memes on the planet. But they also come out with really great questions and have really great conversations. So 2 groups, 2 areas for you to take advantage of and get the help and support that you guys need. And her group is called the Evil HR Lady over on Facebook, and my group is called the Next Gen Women in HR Facebook group. So, hop over, jump on, enjoy it. They really are both great groups with really awesome people. And it's fun. It's fun to be a part of a supportive community like that. It really is.
I agree. And since so many HR people are solo practitioners, it's nice to have coworkers.
Yeah, I would agree. I absolutely agree with that. So, all right. So I'm flashing up the last couple of one more here. There you go. And how you guys can find us on our social. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. This next week will be our last week before we take off for the holiday. And looking forward to seeing you all then.
We'll see you then.